When bringing the written word to the movie theater, it's sometimes in the film's best interest to get rid of the most disturbing stuff. Everybody and their mother knows about E.L. James' erotic romance novel 50 Shades of Grey. Naturally, as one of the more memorable bestsellers of the decade, James' book was destined for a major motion picture adaptation. The movie hit theaters and was unsurprisingly a huge box office success despite predominantly unfavorable reviews. As fans of the book noticed, however, one particular sequence from the novel didn't make the cut. The infamous tampon scene in which Christian wants to get it on despite the knowledge that it's Anastasia's time of the month. Director Sam Taylor Johnson told Variety, "It didn't make it into the movie, it was never even discussed." The film's producer Michael DeLuca agreed. The book needed to put you in Anna's shoes to be a successful experience. A lot of it was very literal. The movie didn't need to do that. It's a completely different medium. The romance film Me Before You, known by many for starring Game of Thrones Mother of Dragons Emilia Clarke, had the benefit of being adapted for the big screen by the novel's author herself, Jojo Moyes, which only makes it more interesting that the film lacks one rather critical plot point. In the movie, the female protagonist, Louisa Lou Clarke, is quirky and intelligent, which is why nobody really understands what keeps her from spreading her wings. In the book, however, we know exactly what Lou's deal is. While drinking with a group of guys in high school, she was sexually assaulted, something she keeps firmly under wraps. This critical plot point is used to explain pretty much everything about Lou, from her weird and overtly non-sexual sense of style to her offbeat personality. Moyes claims they tried for 6 months to put that scene into the movie, but it simply didn't fit. Emma Donoghue didn't just write the impactful 2010 novel Room, she also wrote the screenplay for the award-winning novel's film adaptation, which itself was nominated for multiple Academy Awards, including Best Picture. As is often the case, however, Donoghue struggled with the harsh reality that not every scene from the book is good for the movie. In the case of Room, Donoghue chose to cut out the scene in which Ma tells her son Jack that she gave birth to a baby girl before him. Because she had no medical attention in captivity, the child was tragically stillborn. Despite having written the scene into the script, Donoghue made the tough move to remove it completely. Donoghue told Variety, "The stillbirth story slammed the brakes and yanked us back toward the tragic past. I have to grudgingly admit that the film's better without it." The entire conceit of the Hunger Games is built on death, pain, torture, and cruelty. In a fascist nation called Panem, an annual contest selects 2 children from each of 12 districts to fight to the death, both to amuse the elitist in charge and to punish the population for a failed uprising from many years earlier.
I volunteer! I volunteer! I volunteer as tribute!
Not only does President Snow's government in the capital enable the deaths of 23 children each year in elaborate war games, but it develops and utilizes technology to lead to more suffering, both in and out of the Hunger Games. While Suzanne Collins' very successful Hunger Games books were aimed at teens and children, the movie adaptations eliminated some of the Capitol's particularly ghastly acts. For example, anyone who tries to escape Panem and gets caught, as well as those mixed up in potential uprisings, are turned into what are called avoxes. Their tongues are cut out, meaning they can't talk, and they're forced into a life of slavery in the capital. Capital-employed Hunger Games makers also utilize so-called mutations, genetically modified creatures, to make the competition even deadlier. The final 3 competitors in the first Hunger Games novel face off with wolf-type monsters. And thanks to science, each of these so-called mutts, unsettlingly, bears the face of one of the children sacrificed earlier in the games. Many of filmmaker Cameron Crowe's works are based on true stories. In 1981, Crowe published Fast Times at Ridgemont High, a true story. And to observe teenagers in their element, the 22-year-old writer pretended to be a senior in a real California high school. That book became the basis of the 1982 classic teen movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High, one of the most salacious and eye-opening accounts of teen life ever put to film. The breakout star was future ultra-serious 2-time Academy Award-winning actor Sean Penn, who starred as Jeff Spicoli, a well-liked, good-natured surfer stoner dimwit.
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
But in the book, Spicoli is a target of his classmates' derision, both for his lack of intelligence and outright cruelty. Per Crowe's account, a student's father and sister are killed in a grisly car accident, and Spicoli burst into the kid's class, showing off a newspaper article with crash photos. The kid cried, and nobody spoke to Spicoli for a month. That scene didn't make it into the mostly comedic Fast Times film. Michael Crichton's 1990 novel Jurassic Park is a techno-thriller detailing the death and destruction that occurs when the science-created dinosaur clones that inhabit a remote theme park start attacking as many humans as they can. One of the scariest and most memorable scenes in the blockbuster 1993 film adaptation is when small but deadly velociraptors track down kids Lex and Tim as they hide in a kitchen. They get out safely, but a far worse and sickening fate befalls a much younger child in Crichton's novel. The first sequences of the book, in which Costa Rica is plagued by a series of mysterious lizard attacks, didn't make it into the movie. Those lizards are obviously Jurassic Park escapees, and in one scene from the novel, a nurse discovers 3 little dinosaurs attacking a baby. The 1990 film Misery is an adaptation of a Stephen King novel, and it's a horror story that doesn't involve monsters, ghosts, or creatures. The scary thing in Misery is a human, and it's Annie Wilkes, played by Kathy Bates. Annie is a superfan of romance novelist Paul Sheldon, played by James Caan, and she gets the chance to meet him after saving him from a car accident. But when she finds out that Paul's upcoming novel will kill off her favorite character, Annie's adoration turns sinister, and she holds Paul hostage in her home, forcing him to write what she wants. When Annie leaves for the day, Paul goes snooping in the house to learn more about his captor. Upon her return, she realizes what he did and restrains him against a bed.
I know you've been out.
Then, to ensure he doesn't try another escape, she violently and graphically shatters his ankles with a sledgehammer. Perhaps director Rob Reiner and screenwriter William Goldman are just more squeamish than King. In the original book, Annie doesn't club Paul's ankles. She amputates a foot with an axe and then cauterizes the bloody stump wound with a blowtorch. Jiminy Cricket from the 1940 film Pinocchio is one of the most memorable characters in the vast universe of Disney animated films, and for good reason. He's kind, patient, and serves as the conscience of marionette turned real boy Pinocchio. Writers and animators greatly embellished and fleshed out the character for the film, based on Carlo Collodi's episodic fairy tale novel The Adventures of Pinocchio, published in serial form in 1881 and 1882. In the source text, Jiminy Cricket is known only as Talking Cricket, and he isn't a major character. Early in the story, when Pinocchio is left home, the Talking Cricket advises the boy to head back to the safety and comfort of home. Pinocchio flies into a rage over being told what to do, and he picks up a hammer and throws it at the Talking Cricket. Pinocchio harbors no remorse over this incident, which would have made for a very dark Disney film, telling Geppetto, quote, "It was his own fault, for I didn't want to kill him." Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.